just gonna go down in time. This is not going to
happen. Great stop there. Oh, Dicey.
My God, J-Mo, the champion of this one.
Oh, Asuna! He gets the triple off the rocket. It's the full.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It is our honor to welcome you back once again for another epic week of action here at the VCT, specifically the Challengers, as we get ready to move into our next stage of competition and move closer to qualifying teams for the Iceland event. Joining me here on the broadcast today is my co-caster, Stokes. It's an honor to introduce him to VALORANT for the very first time. Welcome, my friend. How you feeling today?
Oh man, I'm so very excited for this one, Blue. Let me tell you, I have been dreaming about this for weeks to come, and we're finally here, man. We're finally here. We're on the desk, and we're talking about some VALORANT. Exciting stuff today.
Absolutely the case. And what a week to be able to jump into VALORANT, specifically looking at the absolutely crazy events that unfolded last weekend out of the open qualifier. We'll be taking a look at that right now. So many upsets, so many favorite teams that everybody thought was going to be able to make it through ended up not being the case. Stokes, let's talk about this a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. So many upsets when it came down to this bracket that it will make your head spin. I think that a lot of the rosters that ended up making it through weren't that big of a surprise to a couple of folks, but I think that the highlight from this, Sentinels getting knocked out earlier by Built by Gamers.
I'm sure we'll see that in a moment here too, but that's not the only one. Over the course of the few days of play last weekend, we saw plenty more. FaZe also finding themselves getting eliminated at the hands of version 1, which I'm sure we'll see here over the course of this replay in just a moment here. But it was also just a great day of frags overall for so many clutch plays, so many meta-changing moments as well. The prevalence of Astra play that we've seen over that last weekend was really interesting to me too, and I'm very curious to see how that is also going to evolve as we get into the next stage of play this weekend.
Oh, and that's what I'm so excited for as well. She's brought something to the controller class that we didn't necessarily have before. Her presence over the entire map, something that's truly insane. I think that a lot of IGLs and just teams in general are still trying to get their head wrapped around it.
Definitely the case here. See one of the upsets before you right now, as Stokes was just mentioning, Sentinels obviously coming in as the Masters champions. Everybody expecting them to make it through without too much of an issue out of the open qualifier. Not the case, as Built by Gamers had an incredibly impressive series against them and was able to best them here. Also Envy making their way past Ghost to put them in one of our matches today as well, taking us to day 4, where we saw some of the final matches. Enbox, one of the teams we'll be talking more in depth about here in just a moment, being able to make it past Noble in relatively close series as well. They're going all 3 maps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the one that really took everyone by surprise, or not really by surprise, I mean, Immortals have been a team that have been so punishing to anyone they played against in, well, most of Valorant's history. I think everyone really did expect them to get to this point, but still a really good series with them on Rise for the round of 32, where it actually went the full distance. Rise able to pick up Ascent, and, you know, it's nice to see people like this team actually get challenged.
Aside from that as well, Cloud9 making it through, we didn't see Sentinels do it, leaves us with a very, very interesting bracket for our first Challengers run that you can see here now. Built by Gamers, Xset, Envy, Enbox, version 1 Immortals, Cloud9 Blue, and 100 Thieves. Those are your 8 teams vying through, 4 of which will be able to make their way forward into the Challengers final if they place high enough over the course of the next few days of play. And that will shift our focus to today, where we have 3 excellent matches to showcase for you guys here on this stream, and 3 other ones going on our secondary stream as well. Let's take a look at that schedule and see what exactly we have on the docket for today. Stokes?
Also exciting stuff going on, folks. 100 Thieves versus Enbox to kick us off. Then we got Envy versus version 1. We'll be seeing what teams can win this and possibly play each other in the upper bracket finals later on today.
Finally, aside from that, we will see the losers of both of these initial matches play against each other for survival in our 3rd and final game of the day, where we'll have some other lovely casters be jumping in to present you guys with that action. But that allows us to shift our focus to the first match of the day now, specifically 100 Thieves versus Enbox. Stokes, let's start talking about this match, and specifically, let's start talking about 100 Thieves and how they've looked over the past couple of weeks.
Oh, I am so happy that you've said it. I mean, they were able to make it into Masters on our previous series where they were flying through challengers. Everything looked so strong, but not able to close it out when it came to the big stage. They're back and they went back into Masters. This roster overall so strong and so consistent as well, with a couple changes coming in here or there. Ethan, the newest one to this lineup, but highlight players overall.
Definitely the case, and we've seen some role changes happening over the course of the previous few weeks here. In fact, you could even see 100 Thieves talking about it on their heist video series as well. Moving Ethan in, obviously allowing him to play Omen for those previous couple weeks, now shifting that back. Nitro jumping back onto that agent and allowing Ethan to free flow onto some other agents here as well, most notably the Sage that we saw them play versus Ram last week. Other than that, though, things are staying relatively the same. Meanwhile, on the other hand, for Enbox, we've got quite the varied composition, but also some very, very aggressive play styles coming out of them. Just to talk about some of their specific players, Mata, he's going to be your frontman, the player on entry all the time, but he's not the only focus. Interestingly enough, Ye is a player I'm going to be keeping close eyes on today, specifically on the Sage, because looking at their previous matchup against Noble, we saw some really great aggressive Sage usage out of him, and I'm very curious to see if that's going to be able to continue. Aside from that, a lot of flex players on this lineup. Boy bringing some great Omen plays in the previous series where he's able to step around on split at A Heaven, messing up his opponents, just as one great example of play there. Definitely going to make for an interesting matchup as we get ready to jump into this series.
Yeah, Enbox finally making some waves, and I'm so happy that you talked about the Sage play from Ye. We saw that quite a bit on Ascent with how potent he was with those ice walls, specifically over there on the A site. So we'll see if it goes off as well as it did the last time, especially up against 100 Thieves. No knock towards Noble, but it is a different team nonetheless, and 100 Thieves have been very, very good when it comes down to it. I think that a couple other things to talk about with him as well are things like his jet play that we saw in Icebox.
We do have our head-to-head graphic in the meanwhile. We're going to take the two duelists, put them right up against each other here. Asuna against Mata, both of them prioritizing Raze as well, although Asuna may find him switching up to Phoenix on occasion as well, depending on the map. And you can look at the stats here, relatively close. Asuna's got a slight edge in a couple of categories here, but Mata not too far behind.
No, not at all. And honestly, I just think that this shows the dominance of Asuna and what he's done with 100 Thieves overall. I mean, looking back through the bracket and looking at the matchups that they played, their matchup against OODA Loopers, Asuna actually dropped 52 kills overall, which is just absurd.
And now moving on from that, we could start to talk more about the map pool here. We're getting very, very close to match time now, folks. Stokes, any interesting expectations for this map pool here, or I think we're going to get something pretty straightforward?
I think we're going to get something pretty straightforward. I mean, when it comes down to it, the map pool for Valorant isn't the largest thing, so a lot of these teams more than likely have a spot ban. It's going to be exactly what we expected, Blue, when we were talking about it earlier. Ascent, Bind, and Icebox, not necessarily in that order, but that will be the map pool. How are you feeling about this one personally?
I think it sets up some really interesting expectations for this series. Almost, in my opinion, a race being placed in position here for Enbox. Just looking at the fact that we have Icebox as the third map, I think 100 Thieves were looking very strong on that map, specifically in their game against Ram, fixing some of the issues that we had seen over the course of Masters. So I'm personally, if we're going to see an Enbox win today, I need to see it happen in these first two maps here. Still a couple of issues that we could see poked into here on 100 Thieves is specifically their attacks on Ascent there, and we could see Enbox get ahead. Second map, a little bit more up in the air. That one could really go either way for me, but when we get to Icebox, I think that's when 100 Thieves will really start to try and take control of the series. So we'll have to find out if Enbox are up to the challenge. Stokes, how are you feeling about this, though, and your predictions for this matchup?
For 100 Thieves, I feel like this is them really wanting to shut this one out early. I don't think they're scared to go to Icebox necessarily, but when it comes to the record of play, they don't have as much on it as these other maps.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
plays here, but it looks like we're going to be changing some things up.
Working our way into the agent select here now, ladies and gentlemen. So it is indeed time to jump into our first matchup of the day. 100 Thieves going up against Enbox. For those of you that are just joining us, we'll take a look at the agent selects here, see if we get anything interesting. Immediately going to see Ye going on to that Sage. That may seem fairly normal, but I want you guys to pay attention to that, because like we were mentioning a few moments ago, there's some really aggressive play out of Ye. Look for instance, barrier orb walls going down inside of A main to play off of post plants and avoid getting smoked off from that angle. A lot of things similar to that usual boost up on the inside of B main push as well on top of the jump box there. So a lot of potential aggressive play to come out of this. what are we looking at on the 100 Thieves side here, Stokes? Anything crazy coming at you?
No, not really. Neither from neither side, to be honest with you. This is honestly to be expected. This is exactly what both of these teams have been playing for a sense. So I don't think this is going to change up all too much. But this does beg the question: how does 100 Thieves handle the aggression from Enbox?
Definitely going to be the question here. Even noting too, Mata jumping off that Raze also onto the Phoenix now. So seeming to favor a more flash-oriented entry style here for Enbox in comparison to what we've been seeing as of late. The emphasis of Jet as well as Raze to cause separation on the initiation there instead of outright blinding your opponents. So obviously you'll have Seb able to support on that with Paranoia from the Omen as well. Decent amount of utility coming on here, and of course we'll have the Sovas on both sides because Descent, so I don't need him here. Very prevalent and some crazy arrow spots, so going to be wanting to put that down. But it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to get into our first round. Let's get to it. Let's find out, can Enbox take down the Titans in 100 Thieves, or is 100 Thieves going to be able to take them down and move right on into the next stage of this bracket? Let's find out.
Enbox straight out the gate. Set up standard here. Killjoy over towards B main, but also the focal point over inside of A for the time being. There's some smokes down now as they try to find some space on site, but this is acting fast in the pistol round. Montessori's worked his way out of sight. He's got a nice shot working for Tree, but Nitro through the smoke claims 2 of his own. No spike control now as they're going to need to try and get that down. No true rotation from the KJs just yet either.
Boy with some good forward positioning, but there's still a problem over by the door lever here. Boy has to try and spot it out. He finds it. It's Nitro, and he goes down, but an immediate response is found from Hiko, and the jump shot from the Classic as well. Take out Boy, bringing this down into a 1v1. Taking a look at Vice here. Trying to maintain control over the situation, but no, he goes too quick. Immediately jumps out with the Ghost Clutch there to shut things down. A 3K for him on the pistol and 100 Thieves get off to a booming start.
Fantastic opening there for 100 Thieves, and already we see the aggressive plays from Enbox with this ice wall coming out on the A site. We hadn't seen them use this in the prior matchups in that fashion, but I still really liked what they were going for. Try to cut off the tree angle, focus on health, focus on Raptors, see what you can get done through that manner.
Take a look at the response working its way in here now from Enbox. We are going to see some light investments. Nothing crazy, though, and that aligns pretty well. Enbox, for those who caught the previous series against Noble, you'll know that pistols definitely aren't the strong suit for Enbox. And them dropping that initial round, not going to be too much of a surprise. It's how they'll look to evolve, especially past round 3, that we really want to focus on here. But the second round, still going to try to play these slow, specifically towards B main. The Aldrone will work its way in. Spot out Ye, get a tag onto him as well. So it's going to force him back. Seems to have killed most of the aggression, but maybe not. We've got a couple players re-entering into main now and starting to lurk their way in, and this is happening at a good time as Asuna is potentially being caught moving away as well. However, looking at Enbox here, the possibilities are still open. You see pressure working its way into Cat 2. Steel shutting down both of those players immediately, though, as Seb and Boy get knocked out without too much of an issue. Mata has much better luck over here at the B main entry point as he's able to take down Nitro.
It's been a great anti-eco so far from 100 Thieves. Enbox simply can't find the frags. Able to take down Nitro, and that'll do some semblance of damage to the economy, but as long as 100 Thieves are able to clean up the rest of these frags, it should be fairly straightforward. Vice works his way out. He'll find another one for his troubles, but Hiko, once again, quick to the trigger, seals the deal in that second round.
Business as usual here within our first 2 rounds. Now it's time to see what Enbox have to show us. Big investments working their way in. Obviously, we'll have the slight bonus investment here from 100 Thieves. Even the players that are forced to rebuy don't look like they're going to super aggressively buy down here, going for full kits inside of this one. So they'll obviously be in grid straits for the 4th round should they end up dropping this bonus we'll have in front of them here. Important to note, guys, we are still on 2.05 right now. That means the Bucky nerf has not taken effect as of yet here, and we're still more than likely going to see quite a bit of prevalence in that play.
On the opening to the rifle round here, the buy round now for both of these teams. 100 Thieves, obviously a little worse for wear, winning those 2 initial rounds. So they're going to have some Spectres as well as a Bulldog along for the ride. We'll see how this works out for them. But still going to have Steel here on the B site. Now a boost for Enbox as they're trying to find some pressure on the back end, but 100 Thieves giving them nothing. Steel able to kill the run it back. Still has pressure towards main as they're finally crossing in. The hot hands with a nice play, able to assist Jay cleaning up that space, and they have full control of B as the spike starts to go down.
Utility just too overwhelming for Steel and no chance to back out of there either, so just has to take the death in kind. At least was able to counter out the run it back, but Unfortunately, only the ult being taken down for his trebles on the inside of Hut there. Seb with a nice pick against Asuna as the rest of 100 Thieves try to rotate their way back in. Nitro will find a good opener, but the problem is Mata still has control of the market stairs and now the actual pit stairs here too, as he's going to try to rotate himself into position to shut down Nitro. We'll get it done. There's a good exchange from Hiko, but it matters not. 3 more players from Enbox still up, ready to trade that, and it'll be Yay to get the final kill as Enbox jump on the board here on 100 Thieves' bonus round.
Solid stuff from Enbox. I mean, everything obviously going off without a hitch, along with the ice boost to cover the back of B and the flood towards Boathouse. I mean, you gotta love a lot of the things that went on here for Enbox. And Thieves never really having a chance, just too much pressure. But we'll have to see once they're able to get their own buy around, what they're able to produce. I think that just the limitation inside of the firearms here really held them back from what they wanted to do.
Good change up on the last second there on the buys for 100 Thieves. So Steel's actually not going to be in the greatest position. He'll end up having to go all the way down towards a Bucky. I think while some other players are going to be missing utility here too, as you can see, most notably on Asta there. But on defense shouldn't be the end of the world. As you can see, he still has great capability to swing out into the open there. Takes down his doppelganger on the other side. Mata going down first in this round, but it's all just poking for info at this point. They do have the spike on that side of the map, but it seems that the players over here at A-Main have made a lot more forward momentum, having to peek into main, trying to bait something out from Ethan or another member of 100 Thieves on the site. But so far, 100 Thieves not taking the bait on that, and all this posturing, just giving time for Steel to, I'll do that. Wrap around the corner, get a quick headshot off onto Boy. Asuna shuts down the other player on the B side of the map too, but Steel doesn't necessarily expect there to be a second player holding at main, so Seb is going to be able to at least get the trade.
It's been a great round so far from 100 Thieves as he continued to shut down Enbox every step of the way. No one able to make it through either mains on either side of the map. Instead, they've now defaulted just a mid take, trying to work their way up. And I really hope that you guys can see, because I cannot.
Yeah, we'll work to get that real quick. And there we go. Just a momentary glitch, but we're all good. We're back now, folks. With 20 seconds left. Couldn't have come back at a better time either. 100 Thieves looking to seal the deal on their third round here. Enbox trying to vie for something with 15 seconds left. This is going to be a tough push, and more importantly, a rushed push, where mistakes are often made here. Paranoia coming out from Nitro. Not really a winner here. He's not going to be able to find full contact, but at least he gets the angle advantage. They're traded out by Vice. Really no time left. Not going to be able to get that spike down on the ground. We'll have to take the L and try to stay alive here. But even that, not possible. Asuna going to be able to take him down. 100 Thieves reassert control over the match on their rebuy.
That's the early contacts right now from Enbox, just not working into their favor. Asuna too good inside of B main for the time being. We'll see if they can try and work their way around this, but as of right now, quite difficult to try and combat.
And those Buckies still coming into effect due to the fact that we are on 2.05 here, but a great hold from 100 Thieves as they pick up their third round overall here, and that's going to put Enbox on pretty much an immediate eco round. We can see it's light buy. Some players not even upgrading from their classics, and they will be only able to buy towards utility. But despite that, winning the official trade over at B main, a 2-for-1 trade back there. Steel and Ethan both going down. You're still going to have Nitro deep in the site, and some aggression coming out there from Pico. The Hunter's Fury netting him one pick. We've got Asuna playing aggressively as well. That's going to be able to line them up one more frag here. So 100 Thieves looking to quickly get aggressive to reassert control over the situation. And it seems that that plan has worked. Seb, though, this lurk right up on Hiko, and he doesn't even suspect it. Shuts him down. That's full mid control suddenly in the hands of Enbox. But a challenger now approaching from the mid gates here. Asuna ready to try and shut it down. He's got to be careful. Seb now having an upgraded weapon to work with here. So it'll be Phantom V, Phantom Boy. Still down on a classic and without much HP to bargain with here either. Will have to try his best to stay alive and work into the site.
Cover going out.
This round's already a win for Enbox in their book. Eco round, able to get a rifle out as well as 2 ults away from 100 Thieves. This is so big for them. They still have an opportunity to win it as well. Working through main gates, Asuna here. Oh, the trigger discipline, the big brain. He knows they're both here. He lines it up, and it's 2 quick shots. Asuna seals it up once again here in round 5.
Important to note, though, as Stokes had mentioned, that still a lot of damage being done. A lot of rebuys going to be forced out here. At least in Hiko's case, bringing him down to a point where he's actually going to probably end up needing a drop from one of his teammates here. Only 2,700 after the shield purchase. So definitely putting a dent. Not going to completely destroy them, obviously, as we'll still be going into a full gun round here on the 5th, but putting them in a much better position to be immediately broken if Enbox finds repeated success on the upcoming round here. But it's been tough so far. 100 Thieves have been finding advantages very often in the early rounds. Some aggression from Asuna as an example towards B main. We're going to see him and Hiko pull off the same thing, it looks like, back at A main this time as well. We have another player coming in to assist on that too, but not getting much in terms of sound intel or anything from the other side of this one. They obviously don't want to push into it if they'll leave themselves overexposed. They're waiting for the paranoia assist to come in from Nitro back at Tree also. Seb's smart about that though. Oh, it's like it's Ping that is anyway. Here he's now going to be revealed. Oh, and despite the paranoia going out, Ethan able to dodge it, finding the pick on Seb regardless. And 100 Thieves really asserting control over the site. Enbox just trying to move their way in on Cat to make up for this, but at the same time, you still have window and garden control really well asserted for 100 Thieves. That also fails, bringing it all down to Vice.
Oh, they fell right into the trap 100 Thieves had laid for them. 4 people on A's site with the Killjoy by her lonesome on B for 100 Thieves, and it works out for them. Even though we saw the spike over towards B main, they still try to swing it back, but before KJ can even cross through her own spawn, all of Vice's friends are dead. He's now alone, has to try and figure this one out. He's back towards mid after rotating back over towards B lobby area, working his way onto Tree now. And he's got plenty of utility to try and fight a lot of these different situations. But the issue right now, obviously, the man advantage. Vice wants to try and get these frags, obviously, force as many rebuys as possible, but still can't get it done. Hiko, 100 Thieves, on fire right now.
A real winning angle for Vice to try to play off of there to re-entry into the A site. So he'll go down as expected there. 100 Thieves continue to reassert control. Take a look at how this all started to downtrend, unfortunately, as that push towards the A main angle ended up working out brilliantly for 100 Thieves, taking full control there. Enbox trying to compensate by really putting the pressure onto the inside of Cat, thinking that those A main players would still be out and potentially be forced into a retake position, but wasn't exactly the case. Still had threats inside of Garden and other areas near the site, and they were able to deal with the threat just fine. More aggression coming out from 100 Thieves here. Asuna immediately swinging to the inside of main over on the B site, putting the hot hands down too to keep any aggressive repeats from happening towards him, and also getting the one-way assist from his teammates Omen.
They've been using quite a few times, but this time Asuna gonna get aggressive once again with the curveball. Takes down Mata. Overstaying is welcome inside of B main, and it'll be the first blood to 100 Thieves back pocket once again. Just way too dominant inside of the early round.
Ye and the rest of Enbox very grouped up in mid right now, more than likely favoring an A take at this point, as we can see that pressure building up onto Cat, the large majority of them backing up to start working their way over towards A main. So it's primarily just going to be Seb trying to make a play towards Cat, and even he's hesitant for obvious reasons, as he'll need to wait for the rest of his teammates to get in a position closer towards main. They'll be in that spot right now. Lockdown is available here for Vice. That's not it, too. They've got pretty much all of their ults as they get ready to move up to the point here. I'm going to use any of them, though, is the question. Probably not, considering that we're sitting on the eco. That's going to be important to keep in mind for the upcoming round, as Ethan starts to shut down this overall take. Ye, the first to fall. Other players trying to trade it, but just not happening. Seb, the only player to find success over here towards Cat, and now the only player left alive in what is now a 1v4.
Seb getting aggressive, and it's not going to work out for him. Not able to keep the rifle or his life, and 100 Thieves 6-1 right now. Very strong around there, but that's what we expected given the eco. Obviously, Enbox having to stack and try and play for as many trades as they can get their hands on, but given the circumstances as of right now, I mean, it's not looking too good if you're Enbox. Economy in the drain. They're going to go for rifles, obviously, on this round, but if they end up losing, what is it worth? I mean, they're going to have to go back to the eco, and 100 Thieves will continue this steamroll. Very treacherous situation for them right now.
Enbox sitting in a very, very dangerous position indeed. The buy seeming to not help them out that much, failing to make impact, especially when it comes to these first 30 seconds of the round here. So much aggression from 100 Thieves, and Enbox seems to have no choice but to bow down to it. Nice curveball coming out. Mata there to try and force back the A main pressure from Ethan, but same time. He'll just chuck down Barrier Orb. We are going to see the lockdown work its way in here. It'll be held back for a couple of seconds, but that's okay. They need to wait out the time slightly on this defender, on this Killjoy anyway. At the same time, lockdown going to be countered. We'll have a Hunter's Fury come out from the attackers in order to deal with that. Mata gets the entry onto site here too, and they'll actually detain a player still too close to the site as well. Their plant's going to go down without much of an issue. 100 Thieves need to play for retake here.
Spike now planted, an opportunity, but the flank already covered. Asuna with no chance to try and get that to go off. So now it's down to the rest of 103 Thieves. Hiko, Nitro, and Ethan as they reclaim top space. Actually attempt to work their way onto the site, but it's going to be the split take instead. Still worried about Tree and well, should be. You need to worry about that ice wall, but the trades already ensue. Hiko with one, but boy, able to pick up another. It's all down to Hiko, and finally, Enbox stand up with a nice execute onto A.
Too much control over the situation there. The barrier orb working its way down to cover off the closable door, and once that had gone down there, 100 Thieves trying to work their way out primarily from heaven, but just couldn't make the shots happen. And as a result of that, Enbox were able to solidify a very solid second round for themselves here as we get ready to move into the ninth. Getting close to the end of the half here. At the same time, Enbox trying to wean down that money pool for 100 Thieves. Still going to be looking strong here as we head into the next one, though. All full rifles.
Enbox have to continue to roll these rounds together. As you said, they need to do damage to this economy. An attempt to back 100 Thieves off, but it all starts at this moment. They finally got the rifle round. They're equal here. A curveball out is more pressure from 100 Thieves into B main, and yet again, it works in their favor. Two big frags, as Seb is now the lone man over here on side of B. But it seems as though ult has worked out. Oh, actually, no. Asuna with some info, but he doesn't know exactly where he is. Seb gets one from Boathouse, and he's got strong pressure. Now 100 Thieves actually lacking in the defensive department. It's only Ethan on site for B.
Oh, no.
Needs help from his teammates. Turret out, and he's getting flooded. Oh no, it's full B control now for Enbox. 100 Thieves have to risk the retake.
The scan so fatal there as it allowed Seb to spam in from the back of the hut. Massive damage going on to him, and the only real player that can stop this plant from going down, eliminated without able to trade out too much damage in the process here. See though, Steel with a nice re-entry. Vice trying to play aggressively, pays the price for it as he's able to eliminate him. Rest of the team working their way in. Some more spam coming out, and I think it does significant damage to Boy in the process here as well. Burt will go down, smoke over it. Still managed to get a lock on one of the players though, and they'll execute upon that. Steel trying to work his way in, but no. Seb gets the better of him, but before going down, Steel was able to grab Boy. Nitro though, immediately destroying Seb. Should leave enough time for the defuse here, as 100 Thieves are going to pick up their 7th.
I'm always down for some Omen on Omen violence. Some great stuff there from Nitro, but almost a star-studded play from Seb. An ult at the last second gets him into Boathouse, and he's able to actually get them a spike down. Now, obviously, they did end up losing that round, but overall, doing some harm to 100 Thieves and still making money off that plant, it's not the worst thing in the world, but 100 Thieves definitely still in the lead when it comes to this series.
Much closer for Enbox. Once again, that B main pressure just constantly getting the better of them from Asuna as well as Ethan here. We're gonna have to see if they can finally get the better of that one. Slow orb immediately going down will stop any immediate aggression to work its way out there from Enbox, but you'll notice a bit of restraint here on the curveball coming in from Asuna. Trying to work their way forward. A bit of an awkward timing for both teams, and ultimately Mata finally going to come out on top of this engagement. That's a big deal here. Normally Enbox has been on the losing end of this initial duel. Mata's going to be able to move in. Ye will support from that top window as he's going to self-boost himself up with the barrier orb. However, no one's been able to check stairs as a result of this. The run it back expires. He might have got a quick glimpse of Hiko before it goes down, but Hiko will reveal himself anyway. Steel has the cutoff by spawn route, but still, Mata on point here, immediately trading out these kills and keeping himself in the fight.
Well, there's a Manu one on site to lock it all down. It's got to be Hiko. He goes for the second, but it's Mata for 4 instead. Throws down the hot hands, and it's Seb to seal the deal. Mata, what a play. And what an ult exchange from Enbox as well. They get the fantastic exchange inside of B main for the first time on offense. And how do they translate that? Well, it's got to be with the run it back and the res from Sage. Some fantastic stuff once again coming from these guys to actually translate that in not only a plant, but a round win. That's exactly what they needed to get the ball rolling.
Some great stuff from Mata. They're finally coming alive when it comes to the early round duel, specifically versus Asuna. and trying to gather control over the early round engagements. Now it's time to see if they can keep that up here, of course. 100 Thieves not going to take that loss lightly, and immediately we're going to see a shift of positions. Asuna now playing over on Cat, trying to get aggressive in mid instead of the usual B main position that he's been playing up until this point.
Well, Enbox once again at the gates of B. Having to work their way in. Spike still all the way in spawn, so not necessarily putting themselves in the riskiest position just yet. But speaking of risk, 100 Thieves risk it all, and it's actually not going the way that they wanted it to. Asuna pushes his way all the way up. Cat and Box lie with open arms right at the end of it. Nice opening for them, especially on such a high-power fragger for this squad.
Steel waiting for the cutoff here once again, and he might just get it. Ye walking right into his crosshairs here. Might have an opportunity for a second as well because of the unrestricted mid control. He can just hyper-focus on this angle with very little worry in the world. Mata, in the meanwhile, still trying to play for some type of positioning on the inside of the B site, but he's alone, waiting for rotates to work their way over. Steel again, man. Lined up, but boy, apparently he's got the better line, as he's going to be able to take down Steel instead, regaining that mid control for Enbox here as soon as the dart is going to fade away.
And the B execute finally comes out, but Hiko with the Hunter's Fury doesn't actually find anybody. Instead, it's Boy and Mata who execute on this site. Not only take out Hiko in the back spawn, but also start the setup for the plant. Nitro on stairs, able to find one. Knows where the spike went down as well. He's good for two. Not able to seal it out just yet. Goes for the smoke. Immediately starts to try and get rid of this spike. Goes for the defuse, but the Hunter's Fury now inside of this 1 versus 1. Low HP, has to try and get away from the shock dart, but boy, just that much better on the bounce. The geometry class is really working out in his favor.
Boy, just playing that out so well right there, solidifying a very much needed round for Enbox, trying to work their way back into this half and solidify a solid scoreline before we get to halftime, which is coming up very, very soon here indeed. Take a look here at Nitro as well. Really on point when it comes to the re-entry, specifically into this site here on B. Has been finding multiple multi-frags, but at the same time, we've got a couple members of Enbox popping off here. Boy having himself quite the round, and that's right after Mata nearly got himself an ace as well, picking up a 4K a couple rounds back.
Yeah, this feels like a completely different Enbox as to what we watched a couple days ago up against Noble, where we saw Ye really popping off and Mata not having the greatest of days. But today does indeed seem to be his day, as he continues to find these frags for this squad and open up a lot of different avenues. This time around, though, Enbox seemingly want B control. Killjoy gonna have the spike for this one, but mostly strung along the entire map. Could possibly still go for an A push here as Ye's worked his way up catwalk, but nothing favored just yet. Finally, action starts to go off. Mata with yet another frag inside of B main.
The Mata Asuna saga continues here in Mata's favor after favoring Asuna for so much of this matchup here. Seems to have flipped quite a bit, and Mata making a serious impact in the early round, reversing their fate from earlier in the half. Aldrin working its way out. It is not going to check the back corner, but there's usually an assumed player to be back there anyway, so likely will be covered. The run it back trying to be used here as an aggressive swing is played on the inside of Cat in a tree, but it's countered pretty much immediately by Steel's utility. So he's actually going to get aggressive, swings out. He's able to catch Mata unawares. Yay, immediately there for the exchange. A lot of the lockdowns get volleyed back and forth there. No one actually getting a hit by it. So Ethan still going to be able to play aggressively from up on top of the rafters box. Countered by Boy, however, and he's going to continue his rampage as he shuts down another kill here for his team. Overall, closes out on the round.
So Enbox claw back into this one. Wasn't really expecting that when we were at the 6-1 score line, but 7-4 as of right now, and almost 7-5. Assuming that was the last one right there, but we'll have to see in just a split second as we roll you guys through. What I'm assuming is all of this half's action, and we had quite a bit of it, as you can see. As you were talking about earlier, the saga between Mata and Asuna, I want to see how that, it actually works its way through once they switch sides. Are they both going to still try and fight each other in B main? Like, where are these guys going?
It's going to be interesting to see how the second half plays out here as well. It's 100 Thieves attack, and I'm very curious to see how this pans out. Enbox are known for playing a very aggressive playstyle, and 100 Thieves had issues dealing with that, specifically during Masters, because Gen G was bringing something similar to the table. So I'm curious if Enbox is going to be able to bring that aggressive playstyle to the table, specifically against 100 Thieves. Obviously, the individual caliber leveling itself up a little bit compared to Noble, their previous opponent.
100 Thieves still seemingly sticking to the game plan. Still have Nitro and Hiko over inside of A lobby. Traditionally what we see when they try to start off these offenses. Owl drone out now as he really needs some intel on the location of these people, but oh no, Hiko with a huge misread here, doesn't know that someone's inside of Wine, and he's able to get one. Mata with the curveball now, possibility to get two, but oh no, the swarm just too strong for KJ.
Yeah, Steel on point with these nano swarms here, fending off multiple players. We saw it in the previous round. We're going to see it again here to deal with the threat in the back being Cubby. Vice playing up close and personal here on contact from A main, but only able to translate the 1-for-1. Trades going back and forth, though, leave us down into a very delicate situation. Ultimately, it looks like Enbox are going to be able to shut things down in their favor and secure a very important pistol for themselves, potentially guaranteeing the lead here, assuming there are no issues on the second round translation.
Great stuff there from Enbox, especially since 100 Thieves threw everything at A. I mean, nice transfer there for them, and pistols usually do end up being pretty hectic, but that one just seemed to go all of Enbox's way. There was really no chance for 100 Thieves to battle back there. Granted, they were able to get some early picks, especially inside of Wine, but they even got caught off guard by that play. So rolling on over into this next round, it's going to be a full save for them. They try to stack and find some frags.
A little bit of info on Device's position, but nothing major at the end of the day. Just 100 Thieves trying to gather that with the recon dart and force back anyone that was going to try to play aggressively in the actual inside of the hallway here. So 100 Thieves will just take their orb, quickly back away, as they do need to play relatively conjoined here in order to make any concerted effort seriously considered into the site. Boy's gonna get some free info for himself here. Only one player spotted, and actually some problems for Ethan in terms of killing the owl drone, so he gets a second little peek onto the outside of B main before finally losing it to his opponents. We'll go down. However, Boy, ready for the challenge, immediately shutting down Steel. Gonna go for two. You can see Ethan trying to bait him into the angle so his teammates can trade that out, but it's not too successful. Ye with another lineup, now with the Ghost here, he takes down Nitro. Boy re-engages, but he'll finally meet his match against Hiko. Problem is, Hiko's now alone. 1v3 step before him, and remember, this is still an eco round for them, so he'll get overwhelmed very quickly by Mata. That'll be the 7th tying round going on the board here for Enbox.
Yeah, that was just rough from the jump for 100 Thieves. There's not much you can really do when it's a full save. You got classics and everyone's bearing down on you with Spectres. But, I mean, they still get the ult point for Hiko, and that's a really big deal. I mean, Hiko, one of the best in the business when it comes to this Hunter's Fury and just Sova overall. So if you're able to get some ult points in the process of a round that you know you're going to lose, I mean, that's just trying to propel you towards a win. So let's see now that we actually have some money in the bank for 100 Thieves, what they're able to do.
Aggression here from Enbox over towards the B main area, and we're going to see the same thing working its way onto the A site as well here. Enbox trying to ensure for all capabilities that 100 Thieves do not try to burst their way directly into the site. Mata, some unfortunate timing here, and it's not just him as well. Vice and Seb also in the area. All three of them going down to just a walk-in entry from 100 Thieves on Cat. That's going to give them free control of the A site, completely unchallenged here by Enbox. I don't even really know if they're going to be able to buy for a retake here. Boy having himself the pistol, they might just go for it considering that this is not a full investment round for all players to get. So I don't know exactly what the money's looking like, but already see Ye get shut down. Boy not too far behind either, as Asta's able to find him on the inside of Garden pretty quickly. There you go, 100 Thieves wiping the floor with Enbox. But where does that leave them now? Still in position to rebuy here except for one player, so still should be good going into the next round.
Oh, it's such a hard opening for both of these squads. The last thing that you assumed was that we were going to get 2 triple stacks over near Tree, but that's exactly what we got right there. 100 Thieves just forced their way up Cat. They really want to try and take control of Tree, and what are they met with? Well, 3 Enbox members, and they're able to kill every single one of them. No trades coming through, and able to flood onto site because of that. Fantastic stuff early on inside of that round, but that's going to bode well for them for the future. Now we have a Hiko with not only the Hunter's Fury, but also the run it back already on Asuna.
Drones out here. Hiko trying to get info. Does spot the one player by Jen. He's got Hunter's Fury ready to follow it up here as well. Should be able to find the lockdown of Mata. One final shot just being taken to the inside of Tree. Just need to get lucky with one more tag, and not going to happen. And now the problem is that Hunter's Fury response not really finding the damage it needed to. Only tagging Nitro on the 3rd and final shot right there. The 2 remaining players from Enbox once again forced out of the site, forced out of any attempt to stop this take or at least deal damage to the 100 Thieves roster in the process of it, and left with really any option to fully commit themselves to a retake. So they are going to back up to mid, start to commit to a save. Steel knows this. He's already in mid in the meantime here, catching out Ye from top market, shutting him down, leaving only Boy in the fight now.
Man, Boy's going to attempt to save this rifle if it can be done, but obviously Steel might find it, but I don't even think it's going to be him first. It might honestly be Ethan, but he's looking the wrong way. Now towards mid gates, but it's actually going to be Asuna, who's already wrapped back towards attacker side spawn. Cleans that one up, and Enbox are not getting away with any goods.
Definitely not the case. So close for Enbox to potentially take the lead away if they switch over to this defensive side, but unfortunately not happening. 100 Thieves getting off to a great start. Info Ping following it up with the Hunter's Fury. The very solid entries working their way to the inside of Cat, and the unfortunate lack of any impact coming in from Enbox's own Hunter's Fury there sealed the deal. Didn't leave any chance for those two players left after the chaos to retake whatsoever. Tried to save, but even that was read by 100 Thieves, and we saw that get shut down too. So there's no way to win, unfortunately, in that previous round for Enbox, no matter which way they tried to play it. Forcing them onto an eco here. Just going to see a couple upgraded pistols, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. Really all they can muster at this point. They need to save money and try and save themselves, but that's not going to work out either. Mata, the first one taken down inside of this round, but Enbox actually working their way back through mid, able to stay alive for the time being. Ye with a nice frag onto Ethan as well inside of B main, so at least they'll get something for their troubles, but what more they'll get is actually a plant, is all of B control in favor of 100 Thieves. Spike going down, and they still have Nitro at tiles. This is looking so good coming into this.
He's trying to teach Nitro, or Ethan, excuse me, a lesson there. Saying, no, I'm the aggressive Sage. I'm the one who does those boosts. But either way, 100 Thieves going to assert great control. This lockdown really sealing the deal too. Good catches from Nitro as he shuts them all down at the market entry point. 3 players going away. He's going to look for a 4th back over here at spawn route as well. Vice hiding on the inside of a dark cover here, trying to play off of that since he has himself a gun to use here, but not going to work out. Pico's still shutting him down, and 100 Thieves asserting their lead now in double-digit territory.
So Enbox were able to find their footing earlier on. We're at a 6-1 score line. Didn't necessarily think they could turn that half around, but they're faced with it yet again. A 3-round lead for 100 Thieves. Enbox finally back in the money, and that's where they want to be. They need these rifles to try and contest 100 Thieves. Inside of these matchups, obviously on those eco rounds, it's going to be basically impossible. Obviously, you're just trying to get those frags to harm the economy, but I mean, it seems as though once they're later into their half, depending on whatever half it is, they're actually able to figure out what their opponent team is doing. So we'll see if Enbox can do it once again here, or if this is going to continue to be the same song and the same dance.
Trying to play close here from Enbox. This is that aggressive playstyle that I talked about here, trying to use it to get ahead. The run it back immediately working its way out from Mata, but finding very little success aside from 1 to 2 positions for these players. Trying to buy for a repeat, and he even commits to it off of the info from the Owl drone, but not going to work out. Ethan getting the better of Mata out of that situation, giving 100 Thieves the early advantage yet again. You're in a very important round for Enbox, starting to fall behind. 100 Thieves getting very close to that penultimate point here. Only 2 away from 12 at this point. Paranoia working its way out in the meantime for 100 Thieves, but Ethan not really able to find the right to initiate, at least onto the first player. He initiates onto him, but the problem is the 2-stack. Always catching players when you double stack in this corner here, so Seb will be able to find the exchange upon that, and overall force back the aggression from Enbox, forcing them to go for an A plays. This was all a fake. Nitro's going to be able to port himself in. He still ends up getting caught by Ye after working his way onto the site there. Asta with the quick trade, throws the hot hands onto the ground. Ye's too low to get out of it. Vice as well, though, moving in here very quickly, keeping the pressure on 100 Thieves, disallowing them from getting into a solid post-plant positioning. Asta and Steel now having to both play this from the inside of Hell. Dark cover going to block off the one end. They will put their turret down to act as early alert, specifically to an A main push, but the swing from the door will be caught as well. It allows Asta to take a deeper angle, but if he wants to, there we go. Has the lineup against Vice. The run it back is actually caught. He's going to go down on the response as well on the respawn there, but Steel ready to take on the challenge. He shuts down Seb, prevents the clutch, and more importantly, puts the 11th round on the board for 100 Thieves.
Woo, what a burner there. Wow, some incredible stuff going on. I mean, I absolutely love what 100 Thieves did with Hell right there, especially the telly in from Nitro. Granted, it didn't work out all that well, but he did get the info that was necessary for 100 Thieves to clear the area, and that was a really big deal. We saw Steel and Asuna have an amazing utility combo here, with the hot hands coming in, then the Nano Swarm on top of that, dealing even more damage to Ye, not able to get out of that hot hands and contest anybody. Some fantastic, fantastic team play going on for these guys.
Coming down to the wire here now for Enbox, trying their best to work their way into it, as we can see a big investment coming in with even Spectres on a couple of players now too, looking at Mata and Boy. Early info once again due to the Owl drone, but you can see due to the gunpowder here, Enbox can't really reckon trying to play aggressive, at least when it comes to B main anymore. He works his way out. Nitro will try to take contact here, but like I said, nobody on Enbox wants the challenge. Eco trying to work out here too, but more just info. Now here comes the pressure up on Cat. Steel finds the first pick immediately. A wild swing for Mata to try to make up for the loss, and it's not going to work. Steel finds that trade as well. Thieves working their way in here. Pre-plant to go in their favor, and Nitro immediately catching the flank from Ye due to the continued tree control. Look at this, it's so smooth from Nitro. Locks onto the head of Seb to take him down also, leaving just Boy now in a 1v5. Pretty much an impossible situation. He'll do what damage he can here, but where does he even start?
It's like 100 Thieves are just so strong on the entry, and Nitro's there on the lurk just to slide the dagger just a little bit deeper in the chest. Such a hard situation for Enbox to fight back from, and once again 100 Thieves claim the round. 12-7 right now, and they've looked so dominant, even given Enbox those 7 rounds.
100 Thieves looking to shut this one down here, and unfortunately due to the forced investment from Enbox in the previous round, they're not going to be looking much better on this one here. We've got multiple Bulldog buys coming in on Ye and Seb. Still going to see a Spectre on Vice. Only 2 real big rifles coming in here as the Phantom purchases are made by Mata and Boy, but aside from that, Enbox are going to have to hope they can scrap their way to a win here and keep them in the running. They now need 5 rounds consecutively just to take us into overtime here. 100 Thieves in a great position to shut this one down here and now. You're going to see a bit of aggression from Enbox there towards Aiming. That's just to deal with the Owl drone, though. But in the meanwhile, a free lurk into mid here for at least one of the players for 100 Thieves. That's going to Steel, I believe, working his way all the way up to market for free. Even counters out the turret from Vice sitting deep in the site, too. So this is going to lead into a very, very quick execute because of all this free control they've been able to get for themselves here. Not a lot of info on the boost, though. That's a little bit dangerous. They've got to be careful of close contention. Thankfully, Ethan finds one at the last second. Boy escapes his daze, though, but is now going to look for the trade after he picks one up. Never mind. It'll come from Hiko instead. That's full site control going by the way of 100 Thieves. Just need to close out the 4v2, and the map is theirs.
Planted.
Scary situation now for Enbox as they face first map point, and Hiko gonna make it more difficult. Seb, 1 versus 4 that he must win. The Hunter's Fury already going off as well. Tries to make the play, but Seb cannot even work his way onto site. It's 13-7 in favor of 100 Thieves here on Ascent.
So 100 Thieves shutting things down. Enbox trying to play their aggressive game, especially in the second half. They're throwing themselves at their opponents to the best of their capabilities, but not panning out. 100 Thieves will come out on top of that one in convincing fashion as they take the map 13-7 in their favor, setting themselves up for a win if they can follow it up on map number 2 as well.
Yeah, Enbox very quick to the play in this one, where we saw a very cool, calm, and collected 100 Thieves. Obviously, we did see some aggressive plays for them, especially on the defensive side towards B main. But besides that, it was a lot of calculation coming into things, where we'd see Enbox get aggressive with utility, whether it be, you know, the Owl drone or some ice balls coming in from Sage. They would try and capitalize on 100 Thieves being early into, you know, certain main locations, but it just didn't work any single time. I mean, the most notable one being watching Mata run through B main with not only slows down, but as well as an Owl drone, and just not able to find any 100 Thieves members, immediately getting fragged when he peeks.
All right, guys, well, that's going to do it for map number 1. We've got plenty more action coming up right around the corner, though, so stick with us, and we'll be right back with map number 2.
a change of range.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dog battle.
Like in groups always look.
I'm cutting you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
Need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's no
that being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.